Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at Neca's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mirage comic Splinter figure. This feels really... Oh, shit, he got out. Like, that's weird. He's super tiny. Have y'all seen him around here? Gosh, hopefully, like, my wife... Oh, shit. This version of the character first appeared in Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 from May of 1984. This version of Splinter is actually just a mutated rat, not a mutated rat/human hybrid with Hamato Yoshi, which is different from a lot of the other iterations. This version of the character's birthday is May 11th, 1960, and coincidentally enough, this version of Splinter never fought the Shredder because the Turtles kill him in the first issue. Alright, so fresh out the box, first impressions, I am so happy with this figure. I love how small he is, because the early versions of the Turtles, especially in the comics, but also even in the early episodes of the animated series and everything, I always loved that they were short. Like they're supposed to be like Wolverine, like how Wolverine is supposed to be like 5 foot tall, even though now he's like, you know, they draw him like 6 foot or whatever. And it's supposed to be that like they're short, so you underestimate them, or you just don't see them as a threat necessarily because they're significantly shorter than your quote unquote average person. And I always loved that about the Turtles, and I love it even more about Splinter because he's so short here. The other thing I love is they are, as we all know at this point, are adept at bringing things from page to plastic, and that's what they did here with this Mirage version of Splinter from the comics. Like, he's still the rat-faced dude guy that we all know and love, but like he's got that early Mirage dog look to him, to his face. I always loved that because it made Splinter more like approachable, or like, I hate to say lovable because that's subjective, but I guess stereotypically it's easier for people to have affection towards a dog as opposed to a rat, but what do I know? And then the soft goods. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of soft goods really in almost any capacity outside of like a bandana or a cape, but the gi that they've got on him is pretty nice. Like I like it. It feels fine, and it stays on pretty well. The ribbon, or whatever they're calling it, that they used to tie it together at his waist, like kind of like his belt or whatever, is cool, and I like it. The color's great, but like it has a tendency to want to just jut off like in a weird direction, and like it's kind of hard to tame, but it can be done. And I don't have the heart to actually, I don't know. I have some weird thing about like undressing Splinter for some reason. Like, I don't know why the line's been drawn in my head with him, but for some reason I can't bring myself to do it. It just seems wrong, and I don't know. But based on what I can see of the rest of his body, the sculpt looks fantastic. All the detail of the fur and everything is there with the shading and the black wash. And all of that really brings out the sculpt, and it looks fantastic. Oh my gosh, I'm just so in love with this thing. This figure looks and feels amazing, and I am so happy with this thing. So let's get into the accessories that Splinter comes with. First of all, has to come with his walking stick, or as we call it on Turtle Soup, his burnt Cheeto. And that made its first appearance in Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, page 10. He comes with 6 interchangeable hands that also make their first appearance in TMNT #1, page 10. Also on that page is the first appearance of the teapot and cup that comes with this figure. You can find a better shot of it on page 12. He also comes with a baby, I guess, normal, non-mutated version of himself that made its first appearance in TMNT #1, page 11. He also comes with the pre-mutated, or just starting to be mutated, Turtles that appeared in TMNT #1, page 16. Also on page 16, he comes with the Broken Ooze canister from the Techno-Cosmic Research Institute, or TCRI. He also comes with a Utrom that made their first appearance in TMNT #1 technically as the truck drivers from the origin. But then officially, I think you would consider their first appearance as being in #3 during the epilogue, pages 34 in their disguises, their human disguise, and page 38 just full on like brain alien. And lastly, he comes with a Mouser figure that made their first appearance in Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #2 on the cover, but also like specifically in the issue on page 4. According to Turtlepedia, they stand at 2'6" and weigh 46 pounds. And this figure stands at about 2.5 inches tall and weighs significantly less than 46 pounds. All right, let's talk about the articulation you're going to get out of this Splinter figure. So starting with the head, he's got 360 at the neck. He can look up a considerable distance. He can also look down a considerable distance, which is awesome. You got side to side too, so he can show his concern and disapproval of things the turtles are doing. Let's see. Also, you might be wondering, why don't I take off the robe? Because as soon as I start to do this, I feel like I'm, I don't know, dishonoring Splinter. So I can't do it. I'm sorry. You'll just have to forgive me. But he's got 360 at the shoulder, and he also has a joint there, so you can do up and down and all the way around. He's got 360 at the elbow that bends, and it also twists around. Same thing with the wrist. That way he can, wave the turtles goodbye as they're going on missions or doing whatever they do. And then at the, which this also feels weird, but I don't know, less weird for some reason. But yeah, he's got full range of motion in the ab crunch, I guess you could call it, 360. However, whenever I get mine to almost around the backside, it starts to feel tight and strange, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that too much. But yeah, and he's got some crunch and some bend. He can squiggle and wiggle, if you will. And yeah, he's got good range of motion in the splits area, and that's awesome. He's also got 360 at the hip joint. I think that's what that's called. As well as the knee, you get 360 and you get a joint, so you can bend that there, but it does kind of pop out a little bit on mine. He's also got 360 at the ankle rocker, which is cool. And yeah, up and down movement too. So yeah, he's got a lot of articulation there. And I don't know, he's so small, I feel like I'm forgetting stuff. Oh, the tail. So the tail, it does have a joint there, a little thing you can rock it back and forth, but you could also do 360 around with it, but mine does not want to do it. It feels a little tight, so be careful. Your mileage may vary with that. But also, usually these holes right here are an indicator that you can bend this thing. And sure enough, yes, this is a bendy tail. So much like the characters from Neca's Archie Mutanimals series of figures, the tail is bendable. And I believe, oh, and I guess you can count this as articulation if you wanted to, the belt, I guess, ribbon thing. But yeah, you can, if you want to. If not, that's fine too. I think there's plenty enough here, and that's going to be all the articulation you're going to get out of Splinter. According to Turtlepedia, this version of Splinter stands at about 4 feet tall and weighs around 75 pounds. This figure stands at about 3.5 inches tall and weighs like next to nothing. But now let's see how he compares to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here he is with NECA's toon version of Splinter and NECA's 1990 movie version of Splinter. Here he is with SH Figuarts Bloodstock and Figma's Link. Here he is with NECA's Archie Adventure Series Jaguar and Super 7's Donatello. Here he is with NECA's Byrne Thompson and Irma figures. Here he is with Beef Boss from Jazzwares and Masters of the Universe Classics Catra. Here he is with Marvel Legends Wolverine from Hasbro and Storm Collectibles Baraka. Here he is with Neca's toon versions of Leonardo and Raphael from the SDCC box set. Here he is with the Neca knockoff Mirage colored bandana versions of Donatello and Michelangelo. And here he is with the Neca Return to New York 4-pack comic Leonardo. So I'm a huge fan of Mirage Comics Splinter, especially Kevin and Peter's take on him, because the other writers that come on early in the journey of the TMNT, like with Mirage, they just miss the mark a lot of the time, and either they'll get the look right, but the character's weird, or the character's weird and the look's wrong, things like that. But Kevin and Peter nailed this character from the get-go. I love the way that he's got that slight dog look to him, but he's still a rat-faced dude guy. And it just kind of works. And then the character of Splinter is amazing. Like, he's super capable and gets on the astral plane and just like body jumps and does some cool stuff. And just Splinter is amazing. And I've always been a huge fan of him. He's always been one of my favorite characters in almost every iteration of the Turtles. And this version of this character is probably my favorite version of Splinter. And Neca has done yet again an amazing job at bringing this character from page to plastic. First off, Neca nailed the look, and the face is fantastic. The thing about early Mirage Splinter is that at times he can have the rat look, which is when you're afraid and scared and all that stuff. Then he has the more dog-ish look to him, and they've done a great job of kind of having a middle ground, but kind of leaning more towards the dog appearance. But they did an amazing job with that head sculpt. And then the rest of it, the size is absolutely amazing. I just love that they nailed his size and they didn't make him like 6 foot tall like every other action figure. And it's just like, God, no, they're supposed to be tiny. And that's what I love, is NECA's attention to detail. And that's exemplified here with him being super short. The accessories are fantastic. This figure, I don't think could really, I would buy it on its own, but I don't think average people necessarily would. Although as I'm saying this, I don't think anyone's like, well, you know, actually it comes with a Utrom and a Mouser, so I'll go ahead and pick this up just casually. But still, having a bunch of accessories and a couple of bonus figures in one package, that's pretty awesome. This version of Splinter, the way that they made him, he seemingly can go with almost any iteration of the Turtles that NECA has put out and some of the other ones that other companies have put out, which is really cool. I think the only disconnect is probably the animated series, because Splinter's lack of pupils in this figure and them having pupils kind of makes it a little different. However, you know, you have the comic Turtles that we've got from NECA way early on at the beginning. You got the new 4-pack that it looks good with. You've got Super 7s figures that it can kind of go with, even though they're super tall. Some of the Archie figures can go well with it. So surprisingly, the soft goods are great. I'm not a big fan of soft goods usually, but this works really well. My only real gripe is the unruliness of the ribbon belt, but that's a minor nitpick. One of the biggest nitpicks I have of this figure is that I wish he would have come with an articulated jaw, because they've been killing it with their Archie line, giving a bunch of the Mutanimals articulated jaws, and it's something they can totally do, but they just didn't do it here. And it kind of looks like it should be. Like, you can kind of like feel like you can stick your finger like up there, which sounds weird to say, and get his mouth to move, like pop out. But I wonder if it's because the teeth, the way they come in and the way they're sculpted, kept that from happening or whatnot, or it just looked weird. I don't know. But I would have loved to have had an articulated jaw head that I could have swapped out possibly, or one that where he just has an open mouth where he's like screaming Mousers or something, you know? That would have been cool, especially considering the size of this figure. I could have done without maybe another Utrom and got another head, but still, that's a very minor nitpick in the grand scheme of things, because what we have still looks great and it doesn't take away from the figure that it's not necessarily there. Having said all that, I am extremely happy with this figure, and I think you will be too, especially if you're looking for just a fantastic representation of the comic version of Splinter to go with any of your other pupilless turtles from like really any company. If you need a rat-faced dude guy that can traverse the astral plane with you on your shelf, then Splinter's your dude. Or if you just happen to need a sensei father type figure represented on your shelf, then you will not be disappointed with this Rat Dad. Alright, well that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button as well. And if for some strange reason you want to hear me talk more about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Splinter specifically, you can do that by going to Turtle Soup Show or Turtle Soup Podcast, whichever one. And you can Google it. You can find it right here on YouTube and where podcasts are listened to and downloaded. Do people still do all that? I don't know. Anyway, one way or another, the thing that does happen is my friend Ryan and I talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at least once a month right here on YouTube as well as wherever you listen to podcasts. And yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts on Splinter. What are your favorite versions of Splinter and what are your favorite Splinter-isms? And yeah, let us know. turtlesoupshow@gmail.com is where you can throw us an email or you can hit us up in the comments below. And we'll appreciate that either way. So until then, else time.